This is the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin. Today I am talking about the 11 games that took place last night in the NBA. I will probably also talk about a couple other random things going on in my life because I can do anything. So there were 11 games last night. I watched, I think, 3 of them in total, maybe 4 of them a little bit. Thunder, Rockets, 76ers, and Hawks. I was flipping back and forth between those 2 games. I watched a little of the Bucks and the Cavs, and I watched a little of the Spurs and the Blazers today while I worked. I had a pretty busy day at work, so I wasn't able to watch as many games as I was hoping I was going to be able to. I kind of wasted a lot of time at work, but I don't know that. I don't know that it would really be considered wasting time. The university bought me a graphics, like a motion graphics and like typography, like graphics package. It's called a creative package. It came with like a bunch of pre-built animations, text animations, transitions, like little like backgrounds and typography graphics, all kinds of stuff like that, where you can like change the colors and change the text. So it's all pre-built and you don't have to, it's going to save me a lot of time, not having to. The transitions are the really cool. I went down kind of a rabbit hole today at looking at like transition packets. There's all kinds of really cool animation and transition, like little graphic packages that you can buy. The one that I got was like it contained 3,600 different. I don't know if because you can get like for example, there's glitch transitions and there's little like glitch effects that you can put onto basically anything. It's technically considered a transition, but you can like overlay it over top of anything in After Effects and give it whatever the effect is. So there's like 6 different glitch effects. All of them have a little bit more glitch to them. So I don't know if like those 6 count as 6 different effects or if that's just one effect with 6 different variations of the strength of the glitch. But this pack I got had 3,600 different elements to it. I was a little underwhelmed. A majority of the reason that we got it is because we're going to start doing some short social media videos that are mostly like typography to kind of convey a message. Most of the time we do either testimonials or interviews, where a student or a professor is on camera and then, with some B-roll over top of them talking, and either that drives the narrative of the video or the story of the video or just your traditional voiceover with B-roll. We're going to try to do some more social media driven posts and videos that revolve a little more around graphic animations and typography that tell the story. So instead of me, I'm still going to build a good amount because you really can't. These templates are just that. They're just templates, and they don't really allow for tons of creativity. I think if they're used properly, you use them sparingly, and you use them only when it's really, really ideal, because they just don't really allow for tons of creativity. Now I'll use like the lower third text options. There's some really cool, like for when somebody's on screen, their name pops up in their title or whatever it is, their position, or for sports, head coach, John Gruden, head coach, Oakland Raiders, or whatever it is. I don't know why I used John Gruden as the example. That was really random. But yeah, I kind of just dicked around with those for a while today, just like looking at, the many different options that I can do and the many different ways that I can use those graphics. So it wouldn't technically be considered wasting time. I was kind of just exploring all of my options there, but I didn't actually create anything that I'm going to end up using. But I'm excited to start to use those. I want to be wary of as to not overuse them, because that's something like, there's a couple transitions that I really like. The glitch effect is something that's really popular in videos right now, but they can be overused. Like if you use one of those transitions for every transition in a video, it just can seem overdone. If it's done in the right way, like if it's done for the right kind of project, various transitions for every transition can work. But generally speaking, for the stuff that I do, it's very cut and dry. It's very institutionalized. They don't like tons of creativity. I'm sure the glitch effect will have to be used very, very sparingly. Like I'll probably only be able to use it if I'm doing a video like for our computer science engineering, or I don't know exactly what it's called, our computing, our school, the Allen School of Computing, or the Allen School of Engineering and Computing. So like if I'm doing a video promoting, our School of Computing or the computing major, I'm not even exactly sure what the terminology is there. That's probably one of the very few times I'll be able to use that glitch effect, but that's exciting. It's something that I've been learning over the last year and a half to 2 years. I've kind of been teaching myself how to do motion graphics and After Effects, and have built some pretty cool little graphic elements that I've used as the opening of our State of the University video. I spent 2 hours building a little 6-second intro graphic. So these graphics will help save a lot of time. I think the pre-made ones don't look as cool, like I explained. You can't customize them to exactly how you want, or to have like the university marketing has the department that I work for. We have a whole graphic guidelines, I don't know, I forget exactly what a style guide is what it's called, and it has all the different colors that we're able to use, our primary colors, the accent colors, all the different style elements that we use, and how you're supposed to use them, the different fonts that we use. So you just can't customize these the same way that you can customize with these templates that I'm going to use, but use sparingly. I'm really excited to use them. So that's what I did a majority of the day instead of watching basketball, and then did some interviews with the women's basketball team for the in-game timeout entertainment video board stuff. Did some player intro things. So that took up actually a majority of my afternoon. That was from 2:30 to 5 o'clock. So that was a really long video shoot with basically, well, not the whole women's basketball team, but half the team. And I had to do those in 2 phases. We did 2.5 hours today and 2.5 hours last Thursday. So that's a lot of footage that I now have to go back through and edit and add text graphics to and all that. And all those text graphics will be customized. I already created them last year. I'll probably just keep them the same as they were last year, but I'll have to reapply them to new players and just still export, even with players that I still shot and did all this stuff with last year. I'm still going to have to re-export it all. So 5 hours of shooting will probably end up, somewhere close to a week's worth of editing. When you add it all up, it won't be 10 or a week, all at once. But that's kind of the nature of my line of work. I really enjoy the days most where I get to do a little of both, where I get to spend maybe half the day at my computer editing and half the day out filming. But if I'm doing that too often, I don't ever really get in the groove. There are certain projects where, I've got to basically sit down and spend a whole day of editing. It just seems to help the workflow go a lot better. I can basically fall into a zone where I just don't even look at my phone or don't even look at my emails, or, I just fall into a zone and really, really enjoy doing that editing. But that's when I start to get headaches and feel like I'm not being very active. The shooting and, walking around campus, interacting with students, carrying equipment around is when I feel physically my best and mentally my best, just because I'm out getting exercise, getting fresh air, interacting with people. Stuff like what I did today with the women's basketball team is fun. It's just a lot of interacting with young people is good, because I don't get to spend tons of time, even though I work at a university around young people. The majority of the people that I work with are older, and I really don't work with tons of, like, I just spend either a lot of time at my computer or out filming what it seems like student events where, or just various events where I'm not necessarily actually interacting with people. So I'm basically just hiding behind a camera, which I guess is a two-edged sword, because I really enjoy sometimes just being able to hide behind my camera and kind of be invisible to people. It's sort of amazing how people treat videographers. You really are in a lot of ways just a person behind a camera. Like if somebody comes in to our studio on Thursdays, we do, coaches interviews with whatever the season is, like right now we're doing football interviews that air during pregame of our football live stream. So our broadcaster does a pre-recorded interview on Thursdays that then air on Saturdays during the pregame right before the football game. And whenever like Coach Abs is different. Coach Abs is really great and interacts with me and talks to me, and we kind of like shoot the shit before and after. But these Thunder profiles that we're doing, it's just like students that come in or a head coach from a different sport that's not in season, or like last week we did the women's soccer coach as they wrap up their season, just kind of highlighting different people within Thunder sports, and sort of amazing sometimes how people just like I'm just a guy. They do the interview with Andy, our broadcaster, and they interact with him before and after, and I kind of like it this way, but I'm just kind of a guy that's behind the camera. But that concludes my rant about my work. So if you've made it this far, last night I watched the 76ers and the Hawks, a good majority of that game. The 76ers won 105-103. This was a really good game down the stretch. It was not all that close the entire game, but it was. I don't even remember necessarily who led the majority of this game. I feel like it was kind of back and forth. But Joel Embiid had a really nasty dunk on one of the Hawks players who I don't really remember who it was, but finished with 36. Shot 63.2% from the field, 12 of 19, was 2 of 6 from 3, had 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 turnovers is far too many for a center, although he does not necessarily handle the ball like in a dribbling, your traditional ball handling capacity where you're dribbling a lot, but he does have the ball in his hands quite a bit. Al Horford only had 5. Tobias Harris had 13, but hit I think he hit the game clinching shot. It wasn't necessarily a game winner. I think it was tied, or maybe they were down 1, but it wasn't like a buzzer beater. But Tobias Harris sealed the game for them. Other than that, though, it did actually play pretty poorly. Finished with 13 on 31.2% shooting from the field. 5 of 16, was 1 of 9 from 3, 11.1% from 3, had 5 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal. Ben Simmons finished with 13 on 54.5% shooting, 6 of 11. No threes, obviously, for Ben Simmons. 6 assists, 6 rebounds. On the other side of the ball, the player of the week last year in the Eastern Conference, Trae Young, finished with 25 points on 35% shooting, 7 of 20, had a really nasty crossover. There were a pair of really awesome crossovers last night. Fred VanVleet in the Raptors game had a really sick crossover that made against the Magic that made Markelle Fultz fall to the ground. This one that Trae Young crossed over, like as he kind of faked like he was going to come off of a screen and then crossed back over and made Josh Richardson not fall but just spin around and then hit a really deep 3. Trae Young finished with 25 on 2 of 5 from 3, 9 assists for the young second-year player. Yeah, that's really all I got on that game. The other game that I watched the majority of was the Rockets and the Thunder. James Harden finished with 40 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds in a 116-112 win over the Thunder. That game was in Houston. So Chris Paul made his return to Houston. The video board thing, these little video tribute things that people are doing, it seems to be like something that almost is like, it's not required, but it almost seems like something that people are like, they feel the need to do. I don't know. It's really only done for like guys that make, like star players, guys that make contributions to a franchise. But like, if you think about it, what did Chris Paul really contribute to the Rockets franchise? Like he was a star player in the NBA. He's obviously like, I don't know. Would you consider Chris Paul one of the best point guards to ever play the game? I think a lot of people probably would. Chris Paul, when I was younger, was one of my favorite players. As he's gotten older, I don't necessarily like him less, but I don't really root for him the same way that I used to. Like when he played for the Hornets, he was my favorite player in the league, and then Derrick Rose came into the league, and Derrick Rose kind of took over as my favorite player in the league for a while, and LeBron has kind of always been one of my favorite players, but I don't know. I don't know like when I really, really like started to become a huge LeBron fan. It was probably like his last like 3 or 4 years in Cleveland. So, even while I was a Chris Paul and Derrick Rose fan, I was still a really big LeBron fan. But now LeBron is like far and away my favorite player. So Chris Paul gets this video tribute in Houston. But what did Chris Paul really do for the Houston Rockets? The overall arcing theme of these tribute videos is like, thank you for all that you did for the Rockets organization. But Chris Paul didn't do anything. I love Chris Paul. I think he's one of the greatest point guards to ever play in the NBA. Now, he doesn't have a championship. He probably will never win a championship, but he's still one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. Let's just say this. He's one of the greatest point guards to never win a championship. That's safe. I think everybody could agree with that. And never got the Rockets, to the finals. I don't think he took them any further than they had previously been. I think, he was probably, I don't think they went to the Western Conference Finals before Chris Paul was there. I'm pretty sure they never went there like with Tracy McGrady or anything like that. So maybe he took them as far in the playoffs as they had ever been, but they never won a Western Conference Finals. They never went to the finals. And you could argue, most people would say that James Harden was the one that brought them that far. Chris Paul certainly made a contribution, certainly, was the second best player on the team his entire time that he was there. But these tribute videos just seem phony to me. Like, you traded Chris Paul. You clearly thought that Russell Westbrook was a better option than Chris Paul. I don't know. It just seems so fake. I don't like it. It really bothered me when they came back from commercial and they were, the league pass coverage, I think, like kind of came back from commercial, or I think they may have been showing, I think I may have flipped back from the Hawks game in the middle of that commercial break, like halfway through the video tribute, because League Pass shows you during timeouts, at least the tier of League Pass that we have. We paid a certain amount so that there's no commercials, so that you see the in arena feed, like whatever they're doing during the timeout, whatever fan cam or whatever's going on the video board, you see that instead of a commercial. So I came back in the middle of that, and it just bothered me. I don't know. Chris Paul didn't contribute really anything to the Hornets. It just seems, or to the Rockets, it just seems really phony. Like, you traded Chris Paul. Clearly, you think Russell Westbrook at this point in their careers is better than Chris Paul and gives you a better chance to win. You actively shipped Chris Paul away. Why are you thanking him for his time? Thank him for his time if he left. And if like when Kawhi comes back to the Raptors, that tribute, that one will be just about the only one that will be of any merit. When LeBron went back to Cleveland last season, I'm sure there was a tribute video for him for winning them a championship. That makes sense. But Chris Paul didn't. You didn't appreciate Chris Paul's time in Houston. If you appreciated his time in Houston, you would have kept him around. And the same goes for when Russell Westbrook goes back to Oklahoma City. Sure, Russell Westbrook showed a lot of loyalty to Oklahoma City, staying there for 11 years, but I don't know. He didn't really give you much. He took you to the finals, I guess. But I would argue that Kevin Durant took you to the finals. I don't know. It just seems so phony to me. And these guys like shaking hands. I get that it's a business. This is what happens. There was a stat last night in one of the games that I was watching that one of the color commentators said something like 42 or 47% of the players in the NBA are on different teams this year than they were last year. So that's the nature, that's more than it ever has been, really, but that's the nature of this league. So part of it is, yes, that it's a business, but these guys are all shaking hands with Russell Westbrook after the game. And like Russell Westbrook thought that you weren't good enough. He asked for a trade once Paul George went to LA to play with Kawhi and the Clippers. All of those guys on that team should be offended that Russell Westbrook doesn't think that they're good enough to play with them anymore. I mean, part of it is probably that they have a high enough emotional and mental IQ to realize that they aren't good enough. So like Steven Adams probably understands that like he's not a prolific enough player, a multifaceted enough player to be a sidekick to Russell Westbrook. A lot of these guys, they get it. They get that like, somewhere deep down, I don't think they'd ever admit it, but somewhere deep down, all of them probably acknowledge the fact that they're not good enough for Russell Westbrook to win with, because nobody can do it on their own. Like I talk about all the time on this podcast, nobody's winning a championship on their own. And the reason that I'm sure that a little part of them feels like fuck you, man. You didn't think I was good enough to stick around here and play with us. But a little part of them probably also, feels like, oh, well, yeah, I'm probably not as good as I need to be, or I'm probably not good enough to help him win a championship. So to kind of wrap up this game, James Harden finished with 40, like I said, shot 8 of 21 from the field, 38.1%, 3 of 14 from 3, 21.4%. James Harden shoots a terrible 3-point percentage. Like it's pretty fucking bad. Scored 21 points at the free throw line, shot 95.5% from the free throw line, 21 of 22, had 7 assists, 4 turnovers, was -3 and plus-minus, had 1 steal and 1 block. Russell Westbrook had 21 points, 9 of 16 shooting, 56.2% from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. So, good all-around games, though, for both of them. It'll be interesting to see just the narrative when Russell Westbrook goes back to OKC. And those two, being in the Western Conference together, will more than likely play each other 3 or 4 times this season. So, some of the other games from last night: Raptors and Magic, don't care too much about that one. Pistons, Pacers, nah. Knicks, Bulls, Bucks and Cavs. The Bucks won 129 to 112. Antetokounmpo finished with 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Warriors got their first win over the 0-4 Pelicans. Steph Curry finished with 26 points, 11 assists, and 3 steals. It's so weird for me to talk about, these games that I didn't even fucking watch. I've said this before, but you're basically here listening to a guy talk about a box score that you could just go fucking read yourself. You know what? That's not true. This is a way more dynamic podcast than that. I do watch some of these games, and I provide some great insight that my father, potentially my girlfriend on occasion, and maybe Ben VanDokkumburg, and maybe Sloan Whitaker, probably Addison Dobb doesn't even listen to this thing. Fuck it. Anyways, so the Warriors, this is kind of interesting. The Warriors went really, really fucking small for their starting lineup. Steph Curry started at the point guard, and then they moved D'Angelo Russell. Essentially, positions don't matter in the NBA anymore, but D'Angelo Russell was listed as the starting small forward. Jordan Poole, who's taller and more of a small forward than D'Angelo Russell, started at shooting guard. I don't quite understand that. Glenn Robinson III started at power forward, and Draymond Green at center. They all scored in double figures. Damian Lee had 23 off the bench, shot a high percentage, 8 of 14, 57.1% from the field, 4 of 6, 66.7% from 3, grabbed 11 rebounds. So Damian Lee made a really solid contribution off the bench. Other than that, Spellman played 17 minutes. They actually had their entire bench played minutes in this one. They played everybody on the roster, and they needed it, I'm sure. But the Pelicans continue to struggle. Let's see what they did. 27 from Ingram. Josh Hart started, so Drew Holiday still out. Yeah, Drew Holiday's listed as not even. Derek Favors also didn't play. Oh, so they're missing, potentially three of their four best players. Derek Favors, Drew Holiday, and what's the fucking guy's name? Zion Williamson. There we go. Jeez, I almost forgot Zion Williamson's name. So yeah, I don't know. The Pelicans right now, you can't really draw too much from it. But D'Angelo Russell on the other side of the ball for the Warriors scored 24. Glenn Robinson III, 12. Draymond had 16, 10 assists and 17. So a stat sheet stuffing. That's your traditional Draymond Green game. And he was plus 36. I think that's the highest plus minus I've ever seen. Plus 36. Glenn Robinson III was plus 30. D'Angelo Russell plus 12. Jordan Poole was negative 21. And Steph Curry was plus 32. The plus minus is an interesting thing. There's people out there that put almost no weight into the plus minus, and there's people that really, really put a lot into it. I have it in the MVP matrix because I think it's a good indicator. Like sometimes in certain cases it can kind of skew a player's importance, for them on the court. But I think it is at least an interesting factor to look at. I think it tells you at least tells you a lot about a player's value, like whether or not them being on the floor helps or hurts a team in any given situation. Now, they could be on the floor and not be the reason that a team is going down. Like, Jordan Poole could be on the court and score a bunch of points. He could go on a scoring spree where he scores all 6 of the Warriors' points, but they give up 14 points, and it's all by, defensive miscommunication by other players and defensive lapses by other players. He could be at no fault, and his plus minus could still suffer. So in that regard, it's not always the best barometer, but I think in most cases it is a pretty good barometer of a player's importance on the floor. So then the Spurs beat the Blazers 113-110. DeMar DeRozan finished with 27 points on 10 of 16 shooting from the field, 62.5%, a really high field goal percentage for DeRozan. 7 rebounds, 2 steals, no blocks. LaMarcus Aldridge, 15. Trey Lyles is playing for them. I didn't know that. That was part of, I think he played for the Jazz last season, so not sure if he was a free agent or not, but Bryn Forbes finished with 14. Dejounte Murray, who is back from injury, my pick as most improved, although I don't know how the eligibility for that award works, but he was injured last season. So not sure whether or not he would qualify, but be interesting to keep an eye on Dejounte Murray this season and his evolution. Thought last year before he got injured, he could have had a really breakout year last year. On the other side of the ball, Damian Lillard and McCollum, 28 and 27, both shot 32.1% and 45.5% from the field. Damian Lillard not as good from 3 of 10 from the three-point line. Finished with 7 assists. McCollum finished with 5 assists. They didn't get a whole lot. That's pretty much all the scoring they got. Rodney Hood had 11. The next closest was 10 and 10 from Skal Labissiere. That's the guy whose name I didn't want to pronounce yesterday. Skal Labissiere. Kent Bazemore only had 3 off the bench. I don't know. The Trailblazers bench isn't very strong. They got Ken Bazemore, who's a great bench player, but other than that, they really don't have much off the bench. A lot of these other guys are just kind of no-name guys. Anthony Simmons had 10 points in 21 minutes, shot 55.6% from the field. That's something to keep an eye on throughout the course of the season. The Trailblazers bench, I talked about it yesterday. The bench has become a lot more important come playoff time. That could hurt the Trailblazers down the stretch. I don't know if the Trailblazers finish as far as they did last season. I don't know if they make it again to the Western Conference Finals. I think this field in the Western Conference especially is really wide open, but I worry about their bench. They're going to need to make... I thought their bench was a lot stronger. I think it hurt them quite a bit losing Mo Harkless. I thought he was a really great bench guy. They lost... who'd they trade for Hassan Whiteside? The center, was Myers Leonard? I thought he had a really great year. He played really well for them in the playoffs, and he was really good coming off the bench. So they got Hassan Whiteside, but they had to lose too much of their bench, and I don't really like Hassan Whiteside as a starter for them. I don't think he's prolific enough as a post-up scorer or just as a scorer in general. Myers Leonard was able to shoot the three and stretch the floor a little bit. Same with Mo Harkless. So I think they lost a lot off their bench. It'll be interesting to see how that affects them throughout the season. The Jazz narrowly beat the Suns 96-95. You don't see many games where both teams score in the 95s anymore in the NBA. Bojan Bogdanovic had 29 for the Jazz. Rudy Gobert, 15. Donovan Mitchell, 5. Mike Conley has really struggled for the Jazz thus far. 20 minutes, 1 point, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. His 1 point came from the free throw line. Is that right? Yeah. 3 turnovers, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. That is just not good. Emmanuel Mudiay came in and took, I would assume, a good amount of Conley's minutes. Joe Ingles is coming off the bench still. I'm really surprised that Royce O'Neal is starting over Joe Ingles. I would assume they're doing that to provide a little scoring off the bench. Joe Ingles is a pretty good scorer as a shooter and a guy that has the capability. He's just crafty. Joe Ingles is kind of like, I call him the NBA's Karsten Clark because he's not very fast. He's not going to wow you with his jumping ability by any stretch of the imagination, but he kind of has that Paul Pierce factor where he just kind of beats you with the angles and beats you just with his craftiness. So that's more than likely. You know, I talked about the 6-man thing yesterday with the Clippers and how they don't start Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, even though they're both better than the guys that start at their position. And I understand this. Like, I get it. I was thinking about that this morning, actually. Like, I wonder if people listening to this think that I just don't understand that bench scoring is important. No, I get it. I get why they do it. But it's interesting to me. I just think it's like a funny, just kind of like a norm in the NBA. Like, there's guys, especially Lou Williams, that just have this like set thing. Like, I'm a guy that comes off the bench. Jamal Crawford is kind of one of those other guys. James Harden was doing it for the Thunder for a while. I mean, the most recognizable one was Manu Ginobili for the Spurs, but I think so in the opposite of the Trailblazers, I really like the Jazz bench. Like, their starting point guard Conley has been playing pretty bad this season. But Moutier played great off the bench. Joe Ingles provided some scoring off the bench. Jeff Green had 8 points in 14 minutes off the bench. So, I'm going to call Ben VanDokkumburg and get his... Ben VanDokkumburg is going to be my Utah Jazz correspondent for this basketball season, because Ben is a unique guy. He falls into fandom very easily, and has kind of adopted the Jazz as his favorite team in the NBA. Let's give Ben a call and get his opinion on Mike Conley's struggles in the Jazz thus far this season.
Hello, this is Ben.
Ben, it's your friend Colin.
Colin? Is it really you?
What's up, dude? You're on the fucking I Can Do Anything podcast.
Colin, I can't believe it.
We want to talk about the Jazz or what?
Oh, it'd be such an honor. I'm just filling up some water here at the grocery store.
And, damn it. You're at the grocery store?
Yeah, but I'm done. I'm all checked out and just filling up some water, and I'll be on my way. Cool,
man. Wow. Yeah. Here we are.
So it's an honor. I'm excited to be on here. Big fan of the show. First time caller, long time listener.
So what's going on with Mike Conley? Did you watch the game last night?
Yep. So the big thing for him, I feel like he is. If you watch the game or if you just look at how it went, he got pick up 3 fouls real early.
Okay.
So when you're stepping into a new offense and you're taken out after 4 or 5 minutes on the floor, it's hard to get into a rhythm. Second quarter, checks in, picks up another early foul.
Yeah, he finished with 5 fouls.
Finished with 5. They did have him in at the end of the game on a podcast I listened to today. They said that when they had Conley, Mitchell, Ingles, Bogdanovich, and Rudy on the floor at the same time, they scored on every single possession they were in there together at the end of the game, which is pretty insane. So, but in terms of Conley just being out there, his plus minus has actually been pretty good. In that game where he shot 1 for 16, he was still a +1, which is insane. So
yeah, that's something that I was actually, before I called you, just talking about the plus minus thing. Do you put a lot of weight into plus minus? Because some people don't. I kind of do, but it can be skewed.
I feel like it definitely can be skewed, especially if someone on your team is tearing it up. But it also means that you're not just totally. I mean, he's playing point guard against. He's played against some pretty good guards so far this year. De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul, Beverly, and then who did they play last night? Rubio, who's not a scorer, but still, I mean, his plus minus has been pretty good so far this year. And
so they've played 4 games. He scored
3-1. They're lucky. They're lucky to sneak that out last night.
He scored 31 points in 4 games. It just seems like he's been struggling to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not another way to put it. It's just been bad on the offensive end.
But they're winning games.
Yeah, I mean, and if you can do that, that's the nicest thing about. It's not just Mitchell when they need a bucket anymore. They can. Last night they were going to Bogdanovich. Mitchell got it going. Rudy was making free throws down the stretch. And they don't need Conley to be great right now.
Bogdanovich was great last night. 29 points on 61.5% shooting from the field, 4 of 8 from 3.
And if you watch his highlights or you watch how he did it, I mean, it's not like it was not a quiet 29 either. 29. He was making big threes, and he's a big energy guy, which is really nice for them, especially losing Crowder. He brings that intensity. He makes a big bucket. He gets fired up, gets the crowd fired up, gets the guys fired up. So that's been really, really cool to watch so far. A lot of people were not sure how he was going to fit in or where he was going to fit in, like with him and Ingles and Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, it's interesting
Jeff
that
Green, how that quad of people are going to fit between the 3 and the 4 kind of.
Yeah,
starting.
the 3 and
So,
they seem to have a lot of threes and 4s between Bogdanovich, Royce O'Neal. Moutier's more of a 2. Joe Ingles, Jeff
he's actually
Green.
playing 1.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He played almost as many minutes as Conley. Did he play a lot of 1 with their second? And I don't know that anybody considers there to be a third unit on NBA teams, but there kind of is.
He's been playing their second. He's been playing backup point guard mostly until Exum's healthy.
Yeah,
but
it seems like Dante Exum hasn't played a basketball game in like 3 years. I know he played. He was back a little bit last year.
And that's been the biggest knock, especially on Jazz Twitter. That's like the biggest polarizing thing on there is, are you pro Exum or do you want them to move on? And there's like a hatred by some people, and a lot of people still have his back. I feel like a lot of the reporters and people who are like more into the game instead of just a fan are still a fan of him and what he can be when he's good. Like
well, because they interact with him probably on a somewhat daily or weekly basis.
One thing too, you'll notice when he finally gets back out, because I really am not sure when he's looking to come back, but he looks a lot thicker now. Like he looks like he's been working on his body a lot.
Have you watched? That reminds me of Ja Morant. Have you watched Ja Morant at all? He's played pretty well.
Dude,
he is so skinny, dude.
He's what, 19?
Yeah, he's small, but he'll grow into him. I would hope. He needs to if he's going to survive.
Especially the way he plays so angry. Like he's kind of got that vicious, he's going to go into the lane, go into the rim, go up hard. He's going to take some hits, but man, he's sweet.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him thus far. He outplayed Kyrie in that win 2 nights ago, where Jay Crowder hit the buzzer beater. He had 17 points in the fourth quarter and the block on Kyrie.
Yeah, he's exciting. That's actually kind of like my League Pass team this year. I'm obviously watching all the Jazz games, but Grizzlies play Lakers tonight, and
except you can't watch it because it's on NBA TV.
Oh shit! I'll find a way.
That really frustrates me.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know.
There's always a stream you can try and find online.
Yeah, they're doing it to try to get you to purchase the NBA TV package for your cable provider. But
if you're gonna have NBA League Pass, come on,
how do you not have NBA TV a part of League Pass? That's really my one complaint about League Pass.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's fucking great.
I know. That's just what I do now.
Yeah, dude.
Come home, eat dinner, and then just get excited for the Hawks to play at 7:00.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Just basketball all night. Like last night, there were 11 games. And I'm overwhelmed because I can't see them all to talk about them on this podcast. I can talk about a couple of them and then just review the box scores for the rest of them.
Yeah, certain things that pop up or stick out and everything. But yeah, man, this season so far has been super exciting. I'm really looking forward to paying attention to everything and just the Clippers, look awesome, and the Suns beat them, and the Suns, who knows, might be a 30, 35 win team on maybe 40 if they're playing as well as they have. But any team can beat anyone any night, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Cool. Fuck yeah, dude. The NBA is back.
I know you've been following the LA teams closely. Who else have you been watching? Who have you been impressed by?
I've watched. Or at
least what storylines are you excited about?
My favorite storyline of the season thus far is the Rockets, just because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, this whole season is going to be really fun to shit on the Rockets.
Yeah, the media is going to be freaking watching them like a hawk too. Any little beef that those two especially get into, and it's just going to be magnified like crazy.
Did you watch?
Same thing in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, did you watch the Rockets and the Thunder at all last night?
No, I didn't. I was just exclusively watching the Jazz game.
Yeah. That one was later, though, wasn't it? I don't know what time that was at. Yeah, the one thing that
game was at 10.
Yeah, that's what kind of sucks about the West Coast games. Like almost every Lakers game, unless they're on the East Coast, is at 10:30.
Yeah.
So I have to watch it the next day because I cannot stay up that late.
Yeah, no, I used to stay up that late for everything, and now I'm like in bed early. But now it's basketball season, and
Yeah, you come home from work, watch some games at 7:00 right after dinner, or lately I've been making dinner and watching games on my phone in the kitchen, and then just taking my dinner into the living room and doing the little split screen action or just flipping back and forth. League Pass is a fucking blessing, man.
I don't think that I'm going to stop watching this much basketball either. Like, I could see it get, like, as the season goes on and everything kind of settles in. But I'm, like, addicted.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Man. But what have you thought about the Pelicans so far? I know some people.
Yeah, I just got done talking about the Pelicans a little bit ago.
Okay.
Drew Holiday hasn't played the last 2 games. Derek Favors didn't play this last game. Zion's out. Brandon Ingram has done a bulk of their scoring. They're basically missing their 3 best players.
That was my stance.
Derek Favors, Drew Holiday are probably their 2 best players. They're at least their most experienced star players.
Right.
You could argue that Brandon Ingram might be better than Derek Favors just as a scorer. But
Derek Favors is one of the better big men in the league defensively. So, I mean, for a team that, I'm on board 100% with that. I think that's just kind of twofold. I think one, it's an overreaction with, like, they're 0-4. They're in the West, so it's gonna kind of need every game to make the playoffs. But you're missing your best players, and the rest of your team is so young. Like. It's actually probably kind of nice to let these guys play together and figure it out and gel a little bit.
Well, and they've played some good teams too. I mean, the Warriors have struggled, and they lost, they gave the Warriors first win last night. But other than that, they played the Clippers, they played the Lakers, did they play the Lakers? Why do I feel like the Pelicans played the Lakers?
I don't think they did yet because that Anthony Davis would have been a bigger thing. I think. Yeah,
you're right. I know they played the Clippers. Maybe that's what I was thinking. They played the other LA team.
Right.
And I feel like they've had a pretty decent schedule thus far. Like in their 4 games that they've lost, they've played good teams. Other than, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Warriors this year. They sure looked bad in their first couple games.
Their defensive efficiency rate, I don't know the exact numbers, but they were like 10 I think they were like a 124 or 128, or even like maybe like a 136, and the second worst team was like 10 points better than that. Like, their defense is horrible. But I guess when your guards are that small,
well, they're just going small in general.
To the big men, you have Draymond playing 5.
Yeah, they had Draymond at the 5, Jordan Poole at the 2. They had D'Angelo Russell at the small forward, Steph at the 1, and then I don't remember who the 4 was. Robinson the 3rd.
One side note, I saw one of my buddies sent me a text that was, look at the Warriors starting 5. It's got Steph and then 2 Michigan guys, a State guy and an Ohio State guy. That's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
But
the Pelicans played the Raptors opening night. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. And that was a close game too.
The Raptors might not be horrible in the East. I could still see the Raptors being a playoff team in the East.
Yeah, the East is interesting too. Pacers have been horrible.
Yeah, I thought that Oladipo was going to be healthy, but apparently he's not, and it doesn't. Dobb was saying that the outlook of his injury is kind of up in the air. Like, nobody really knows how they've handled that injury.
He's so fun to watch too.
Yeah,
but they lost him and Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
which is huge. I mean, he was the person who took over the scoring last year.
I was a little worried about the Bucks losing Malcolm Brogdon, but I didn't realize that they picked up Wesley Matthews. That's in some ways that's better than Malcolm Brogdon. I really like Malcolm Brogdon, but Wesley Matthews just offers kind of a different. He's a very. I mean, they're just different players. They play relatively the same position. Brogdon was sort of a backup point guard and like a 2 if needed, whereas Wesley Matthews is like a shooting wing and like a perimeter defender. I'm trying to see who else the Pelicans played.
Raptors.
Mavs.
Oh, I watched that.
The Mavs have been great. The Mavs Blazers game a couple nights ago was awesome. I think it was 2 nights ago.
I had the Mavs we did like a fantasy basketball where you just pick a team, and it's just, you get 4 teams, and it's however many wins they have, that's how many points you have, and I had the Mavs. You picked them by tier, and I traded them away. But their roster's really funny. Outside of their top 2, they've got a bunch of second unit type guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they still could be all right.
Yeah, them in Portland aren't very deep.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many teams in that like fighting for the 7th and 8th seeds, especially like in the West. Like there's like 6, 7 teams that could get 8 teams that could get those.
And I think that's where the Jazz really benefit, like come playoff time, because the Jazz are way deeper than the Mavs, than the Trailblazers, than a lot of these teams.
Especially if Moutier turns out to be somebody who can play a minute, like not just force him in there and like.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a guy at each spot that can play, which is super nice. Ed Davis has been not great so far this year. He's not a very good pick and roll big, and that's what they do.
He's not a really good pick and roll defender either.
No, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. He does a lot of. He's a great rebounder, which is awesome. That's kind of just what they need, is be good enough to be out there while Rudy can sit for a while. But I don't know. It'll be sweet. And if Axum can come back and play and not get hurt, that's. Like, man, they really could be good.
Oh, what's up for the rest of the night for you?
Going home. Dog's getting neutered on Thursday. It's pretty cool.
That's right. How's the dog?
He's great.
Other than those initial ailments this summer when you first got him.
Yeah, that was scary as hell, but he's awesome now. He's like, when we got him, he was like 9 pounds. Now he's up to like 50 pounds.
Oh,
he's
wow.
5 months old, so he's going to be a big boy. But yeah, he's great. He's super good dog, super obedient, loves people.
What's his name?
Finley. Sir Finley Blue.
Why?
His American Kennel Club name.
Oh, was that already his name?
No. I don't remember what the other name they gave him now was, but the American Kennel Club, you give them like a full name, and every dog we've had as a family was Sir something of Dockham. So this is Sir Finley Blue of Dockham.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So blue for Everton, but Everton sucks. So
dude, Everton does suck. That was me that texted you, by the way, this weekend.
Was that on Brandy's phone?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I looked at the area code and I'm like, I wonder if that's Brandy.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, dude, I hate them. I don't know. Why do all my teams suck? The Jazz could be good, but they probably won't because I like them.
Yeah, that's funny.
Will go 8-4 and just be like, all right. And Everton will finish in 14th and get excited about next year and then finish the 14th. So,
I watched the first half of the Liverpool game on Sunday. Did they end up winning that?
Yes. I don't know. I'm making that up. I don't even pay attention anymore. Like,
oh, wow.
I have that Twitter account that has like 4,000 followers, and I don't even follow it anymore.
Wow, Everton's that bad this year?
Yeah, dude, it's so frustrating. They won today, but it was a League Cup match, so whatever. I don't know.
Fuck it.
Sucks. I'm one that like stays till the end of every game and watches every game, but it's just the fans, man. It's so hard when they're getting booed off the pitch every time, and so I'm happier without him for now.
And it's NBA season.
That exactly. I mean, seriously, that's like what consumes all my time now. Even I'm putting that over college football now too.
No, it's way better.
So, it is. I like them. I like what comes along with college football.
Yeah, I get it.
Tailgating and
yeah.
But man, just in terms of, it's so wide open and so fun. A lot of there's 5 stories for every team.
Yeah, really every game has some watchability. Like tonight, Trae Young and the Hawks, and they play Miami Heat, and Butler's making his Heat debut.
Right.
The Mavs and the Nuggets will be fucking great tonight. I can't wait for, dude, that's a great matchup. The Mavs and the Nuggets is going to be awesome.
You know who I fucking hate? Is Jamal Murray.
Why?
Did you see what he did to Rubio? Just go on YouTube or just go on Twitter and type in "fuck Jamal Murray," and everyone, he's like becoming one of the more hated players.
What did he do?
He was just like taunting him because Rubio can't shoot. I don't know the context of it fully.
Oh, was it this year?
Yeah. This was 2 games ago. But Rubio's shot is kind of ugly. It's very flat and everything. But he was just like in his face guarding him, and like while Rubio was dribbling, like doing jump shots while he was guarding him and stuff, like form shooting and kind of taunting him, trying to get him to shoot and everything. And like even the sample size, I just on Twitter I saw that, so I kind of went down that wormhole, and even Nuggets fans are kind of like, dude, he fucking sucks. He's cocky as fuck. He's good and fun to watch, but he's just kind of an ass.
Yeah, I never really got that vibe from him, but he was a Kentucky guy, right?
I don't know, to be honest.
I think he was.
I'm bad at that stuff these days. I used to be good at that.
Yeah, that's funny.
College basketball video games. I wonder if college basketball will come back now that I know there's talking NCAA football coming back.
Yeah, I just got a notification about that today. That EA awesome. Sports would be willing to do it if they could figure out the paying the players thing. Yeah, so awesome. that was our Saturdays, like the whole day in the fall.
yeah. That was the end of my summer this year.
What, playing?
One of my friends gave me his PlayStation 3 because he was out at law school, and he's like, I played this all summer and it was awesome, so you should play it until I get back.
Oh, so you were playing like old NCAA football games?
Yeah, but you can update the rosters. Like somebody goes through and updates the rosters, and they put in they use a formatting based on natural progression and like recruiting rankings, and give everyone rankings, and they put in everyone's names.
Oh wow!
And, schedules. So it basically is an update of the game,
just with the same graphics, yeah,
and features, yeah. So, yeah. Pretty cool. I haven't played that in a while, but yeah.
Nice.
Do you play 2K?
No, I was just going to ask you about 2K. I don't have a system. Like I've got a 360 and Brandy has a PS3 here, but they don't make the new games for either of those consoles.
So there's something coming out in November called Google Stadia.
Yeah.
And I don't know that much about it, but it's Google's game console, and it's just a controller, and you can cast it to anything that can have Google Chrome on it, so you can play it on your TV, your phone, your tablet, your computer.
Yeah.
You just sync it up wherever you have Wi-Fi, but they have 2K on there. I think it's like $140 for the controller, and then like $10 a month, and then you get all the games that they have.
Wow, that's interesting.
You just have access to all of them. So I think
so you don't have to buy games, you just have access to any game?
I'm like 80% sure of that.
But that's what the monthly subscription is.
Yeah. Yep.
That's interesting.
And then it's all in the cloud. So they don't have FIFA, but I know they do have 2K. So I was looking at that that would be kind of sick. Like you don't have to.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
You can just bring your controller in your backpack and just go play somewhere.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Play on your phone. But.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So our esports at Trine, the esports is getting pretty big, and our
classic engineering school.
Yeah, and our sport management major within the School of Business is putting on, in conjunction with esports, is putting on a NBA 2K20 tournament in the end of November.
Dang.
It's a $10 entry fee, and you just have to bring either an Xbox One controller or a PS4 controller, and you play in I think it's like 4-minute quarters or something like that, 3-minute quarters, something like that. So I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I feel like even though I haven't played 2K since like 2017, I still feel like I'll be good at it. And even if I'm not, I could probably just have some fun playing a game or two.
Yeah, even if you killed. But yeah, it's so complex, that game. It's become like because like all the dribbling moves you can do and break people down and getting used to everyone's shots and stuff. So
yeah, that's true. I wish that they would have had, because you remember how much we loved Blacktop?
Oh man!
Back in like,
yeah, they have Blacktop.
Well, now it's like a fucking world. Now it's like you go play online Blacktop with, you bring your My Player or whatever it's called into the Blacktop world, and you can go play pickup games with like your friends online or just other random people, and you just like go to the park and hop into a game. That shit would like that.
2K. I had 2K last year and did that a little bit, and it's crazy. It's like
that's like all I would do if I had that shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like a world.
Dude, why don't you get it? I bet you make thousands of dollars a year.
I do make thousands of dollars a year. You're right.
Well, you could.
I just don't, especially now, like I would rather watch the NBA than play NBA. So the NBA season takes up about, what is it, fucking 6 months?
Yeah, till April.
And then
the regular season.
Once the season's over, for the entire off season, I would rather just be outside for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't feel like I'd ever play any video games. Brandy has Grand Theft Auto, the most recent one, the one that we bought while we were in Prague. Yeah. And we'll play that every once in a while and just trade the controller back and forth. But that's about all the video gaming that I do, and that's very rarely.
I got into it a little bit. Like I played 2K a little bit last year, and I got into Fortnite a little bit. But other than that, I don't really. I played a little Grand Theft Auto too, but I don't really play much anymore. I guess I play FIFA still, but that's about it. So, yeah, I don't know.
Cool, man. I think I'm gonna go make dinner.
Going on? Yeah, same. I just got home playing the dog.
How's Carrie-Elle doing?
She's great. You know about our looking for jobs and stuff, right?
What?
You know about looking for jobs and stuff, right? I tell you all about that.
What, her looking for jobs?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, shit.
I don't really talk to anybody, I feel like.
Yeah. So right when we moved to our new place and got the dog, she found out her job was getting dissolved.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the year. Yeah, literally like a week after we signed our new lease at the new place and got the dog. She thought she was going to get a promotion because her boss got a job in Switzerland. And so like her boss was like recommending her for that position, and everyone was like already talking about it. And the HR lady was like set up a meeting. So Carrie-Elle was like, great. And not only did she not get a promotion, they're like, yeah, your position at the end of the year is, we're condensing it down. So a job where she was already working like 45 hours a week, she thought she was going to be doing her job and her boss's job and getting the promotion to her boss's job, but they're just wiping that whole position out, and one person is going to be doing 3 people's jobs.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
Yeah. So
in January?
But Nestle, because she works for Nestle, and they're helping her find a new job.
So is the Switzerland thing out now?
No, kind of. It's just kind of hard, especially with the time, like to get visas and all that stuff. And
yeah,
she's in for a couple jobs there, but like they have such strict immigration policies that it's just getting a little hard now.
Yeah, and she's brown, so they probably wouldn't let her in readily.
We flew out to say that again.
I said, and she's brown. They probably wouldn't let her in as easily as they might let you in.
That's exactly why. They're like, oh, actually, we're full.
Yeah, so. Sorry.
No, but we flew out to Washington, D.C. because she had an interview with the mayor, and she made it. It was her one other person for the job, and gave it to the other person. So she was pretty bummed about that. Like, yeah, we were just like we flew out and looked at apartments and stuff in D.C. like 2 weeks ago. So, but now we're looking at Charlottesville, Virginia.
Ooh,
because that's it's in the mountains. That's where University of Virginia is.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's like, yeah, and a couple jobs in Chicago. Job in Seattle, a job in Poland, Ohio.
So are you looking then too?
I'm just kind of, yeah, I am. I'm just kind of waiting since hers is so much more niche.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm in finance and accounting. Like,
yeah, you can go anywhere.
So I'm just kind of, now that we have it narrowed down to those, I've got like my resume's all up to date and everything. And I'm just kind of, like tonight, I'm going to apply for a job in Charlottesville. So.
Nice. Why Charlottesville? That seems random.
That's, it wasn't, we didn't pick it necessarily. It was, Kenny was actually helping out.
Baker?
And his dad works for Perigo.
Yeah.
And, your dad did too. But
yeah.
He was talking, he like told it because his dad like sells baby formula or baby food, and that's what Carriel for Gerber is baby nutrition. So Mr. Baker set Carriel up with this lady to talk, and she called her and was like, hey, we think you're exactly what we're looking for. We'll talk.
That's cool.
Coming Thursday. So pretty much just like formalities and stuff, and then we have no idea, like within even $30,000 what that would pay for her. So like we're not jumping the gun or anything, and who knows if she'd even get it, but it looks like a cool place. It's like 50,000 people. They've got the college there. They've got a downtown kind of like Iowa City or like Boulder, like with the like pedestrian mall, a bunch of bars and restaurants, and then it's like in the mountains, or at least like the hills of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah. We're going to Asheville, North Carolina, which is in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yep, it's the same thing. Probably not quite as hilly as that, but
I have a feeling I'm really gonna love Asheville, North Carolina.
I've
heard really great things about it. Yeah,
it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of like the Portland of the East Coast.
Yeah,
like, kind of weird, but like very artsy and beer and coffee and art and just like
there's tons of hiking around there, which is probably what we'll do most of the time. But
yeah, you guys are all about that, man.
The hike life, man.
My dream, this probably won't surprise you, but I really want to go to Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
a Park City, which is just on the other side.
Yeah. We used to go there all the time for spring break when I was a kid. It's a great place. I wish I would like to go back there as an adult, but
we should do like a weekend trip out there sometime.
Yeah, it'll probably never happen.
I mean, it could if we wanted. But I wouldn't. So yeah. What about you? What's going on with you?
Just a lot of work, a lot of video editing. I was in Holland last weekend, actually. I went to
for Sophie's wedding.
Yeah, for Sophie's wedding.
Nice.
It was pretty lame, dude. It was like pretty lame.
Who was there? Like, who would be? Like, I saw Mackenzie Simpkins.
Yeah, I didn't say hi to her at all.
That's funny.
Shelby Poost.
Oh, really?
Didn't say hi to her either. I really didn't talk to anybody. I just hung out at our table And
That is not surprising.
we left at the ceremony was at 4. We sat at the reception from like 5 to 7:30, and then they served food at like 7:30, and then I was at home by 9.
That's awesome.
Like I left like right as the dancing started.
Yeah, also classic you.
It was just, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the people that like the wedding party had fun.
We're closer to it, yeah.
But it was just like none of the boys and like none of my friends really, other than Sophie and Claire. Claire and her boyfriend were there, and I talked to them a little bit, but I really didn't even talk to them very much.
Did they get a dog?
Claire and her boyfriend?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I like carry that pictures of Instagram or something of them with the dog.
Fucking Instagram.
Players. But Columbus is a place we could potentially go to, but I don't know. Ohio kind of sucks.
Yeah, but Columbus is cool.
Columbus is cool. Where's Jake from?
Van Wert, Ohio.
Okay.
It's like 30 to 45 minutes east of Fort Wayne.
Okay. So right on that side. We were the place that we would be honestly probably the most likely besides Charlottesville is Solon, Ohio, which is the suburb of Cleveland. But it's like a suburb where there's like nothing there except for highway and houses.
Yeah, Cleveland sucks.
It's not like there's
we went through
like at least there'd be sports there, but like man.
Dob and I went to a game in the playoffs last year, or whenever 2 years ago when LeBron was still there. And man, fuck, dude, Cleveland is bad. We drove through there also my senior year for a weekend tournament. Trine did, and we were like going through like the suburbs and like the outskirts of town, like to get into town. And dude, there's just like it's like worse than Detroit, kind of.
I believe it.
I mean, the crime's probably not as bad as Detroit, but like just as far as like houses, like just like unoccupied houses and storefronts and all that stuff, like it's just run down and like deserted.
I was looking like Google images and stuff of just like areas, and even like the cool areas looked shitty as fuck.
Yeah. There's like just a little downtown section, and then Case Western Reserve, a university, is downtown, and they've got a decent campus, but it's still, I mean, yeah, Cleveland kind of
just
sucks. Like
where we're at right now too is like we can go kind of wherever we'd like within reason. Like we kind of have opportunities. And if that's where we ended up, like not better weather, a shittier city.
Yeah.
Nothing around.
Yeah, Grand Rapids is far and away cooler than Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, at least, even if it isn't, like I still at least have friends and family here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
If Grand Rapids had any pro team, this place would be awesome as hell.
Yeah.
It's close, but.
Yeah. So are you guys still in that same apartment complex, or did you move?
No, we moved kind of like between that place and where Northview High School is.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Right off of Plainfield. There's nothing up here that you would know.
Yeah.
Kind of by like a little bit closer to town from where the Cats play.
Okay.
So we're still like in the city limits, but just barely kind of. But it's like a brand new complex. They're really nice. The reason we moved here is because of the dog.
Oh.
We get a dog here.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's super nice. Like it's still under construction. But it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's crazy. We could be moving out of here in like 2.5 weeks, or maybe not until like February or something. So it's hard to get like
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. But how's having a house?
Dude, it's good and bad. It's cool. I really like it. It's really great to like have my own just this is completely mine. Like this is all of it is mine. You know, like nobody else but me. This place is only me. I mean, oh no, I lost Ben. Damn it. Do you think he'll call me back? I was wondering why nobody was responding to me. I was wondering why there was no, yeah, your place all by yourself, man. That's got to be great. Here he is. Ben, what happened, bud?
I don't know. It's just disconnected. That's crazy.
Yeah, having a house is fucking great, dude. It's like it has its ups and downs.
Right.
I got a lot of leaves to rake, but having my own place, my own space is really awesome.
You can do whatever you like.
This house is mine. It's only mine.
Yeah.
There's nobody else really around me, and it's out by the lakes, and a lot of people don't live out here full time.
Oh,
so like
great.
In the off season, like now-ish for the rest of the winter, basically. Yeah. The immediate people around me all live here full time, but like it's just a lot less traffic for the most part.
How far are you from like a store?
Like any store?
Like a grocery store.
Oh, say like 10 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's
How
10.
How far from the lake are you?
It's across the street.
Oh shit!
It's right there.
Do you ever go to the lake?
Yeah, the people that live across the street from me also work at the university. Both of the man of the, I don't know how to say that. The man of the family is the women's golf coach, and the woman works in the business office.
Oh, cool.
So they like share a easement or like a lake access little site, and I don't technically own any of that lake access, but they let me go out there, so I'll like go swim after I mow the lawn or some shit like that. But not that often. I don't have a place to put a boat in, or I couldn't afford a boat anyways. But
cool.
yeah, and then I'm 10 minutes from campus, so it's probably. I mean, I guess you're technically by yourself, but it's probably like what you were paying in rent. It's less. Man, that's awesome. And then but with utilities and upkeep and stuff, it taxes. It comes out to be more probably on a monthly basis, but just the fact that I'm paying for it, like I'm paying my own mortgage instead of somebody else's mortgage, is nice.
Right, that's awesome. We're paying like $1,400 a month.
Oh yes, yeah, I pay half that.
Damn, and that's just getting thrown away.
Yeah.
That the apartment we were looking at in DC was $2,000 a month.
Holy shit!
A cheap one, and that's just that's $24,000 a year for rent. That's just gone.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
but you'd make more out there, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, it's all So that's kind of, I have like a spreadsheet that just kind of factors in like what we can afford based on what we're gonna make. So I don't know. It's cool. Being
an adult is a wild thing, man.
Man, it is. It is, and
it's great, but it can be. It can, like this house. When I got the inspection for it, the home inspector, especially like not necessarily the lake area. Like the lakes all have some pretty nice houses. But like in Angola in general, the houses are kind of like, especially like within the city limits of Angola, it's all kind of like old, really old, like not necessarily like rundown, dilapidated houses, but they're all old, and so they come with a lot of problems. And when the home inspector inspected my house, he's like, "This is amazing. Like there's like no issues with this house." And then
in itself is awesome.
Yeah, it is. But then randomly, my air conditioning stopped working in the middle of the summer, and that was $700 to fix. And it was like just some fluke, like freak thing that like I couldn't have controlled.
Yeah.
So that part of it sucks, but It is what it is.
How long do you think you're going to stay in Angola?
I have no idea. The more I think about it, the more I could see myself here for like kind of a while, like a long time. But the more that I take, I mean, we're taking annual spring breaks. And, 2 years ago, I went to Portland. Last year, we went to Sedona, Phoenix area in Arizona. This year, we're going to Asheville, North Carolina. Like, the more that I do those kind of trips, I think it'll start to pull on me. Like, shit, I got to go somewhere
exposure to cool places.
Yeah. But here's the thing. You know me better than anybody else. I don't think I'd really take advantage of a lot of stuff that is offered in places like that.
That's where I'm at too. Like, that's why like the Seattle isn't as cool to me as like going to somewhere in the mountains, which I guess Seattle could be. I don't need to be in like this big city because I'm not like going out to bars all the time.
I like to come home from work and chill at the house and watch NBA League Pass.
Right, and you can.
And on the weekends, I just don't really need to do that much.
So that's like for me, like, or for you, like if you lived somewhere, like if you lived out in Colorado or something, in like where you could just on Saturday go hike like we did for that wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that.
That would be great.
Instead of go to like the bars and go hit up all the things that the city has. And
I don't need to go spend money to entertain myself, really. Like, I don't need to go to a play or like go, spend $15 to go be a part. I don't even know. I can't think of any examples, but I think that's why I like Asheville so much, is because it still offers that, like, like you can live 15, 20 minutes outside the city and then have there be like hiking trails around,
or a or a coffee or whatever, or a bar.
I think the big thing is just to have mountains around, because around here we have the state park out north of town, and there's some hiking trails, but like they really aren't shit. They're just hiking trails, and they're like cool. They're like in the woods and shit, but I need some mountains in my life. I really like mountains.
Mountains are greater than water to me. And if there was water with mountains, that's fantastic.
See, I think I guess water comes with beach. I always think about it in terms of like mountains over beach. Whereas I might be lake over mountains, but I'm mountain over beach. Yeah.
Yeah. What if it was a lake in the mountains that had a beach?
There you go.
Oh.
A lake at the base of a mountain.
They have that in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. I've been to some.
Shit.
Yeah.
Man, that's where you got to go.
I don't know. Yeah.
But then again, like, nah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to move.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, but I mean, it's not as hard as you'd think, I guess.
No, it's not. Especially if you get help from a job. Like if a job understands that that's part of the transition, they'll help out financially and make that a lot.
What kind of stuff does Brandy want to do? Like in terms of like, where do you think she would be the happiest?
She could really be anywhere. Her major was exercise science. It's kind of like yours. Like it's very versatile. She could pretty much go anywhere. Personal training, I think, is what she's most interested in.
Well, just in general, of just like, what does she like to do? What environment would make her happiest? Like, would she like the city, or would she like kind of out like where you are now, or like mountains or beach or hot?
She doesn't. I think she's like even more. Like she doesn't need very much at all. Like she may need less to be entertained than I do.
That's awesome.
Which is incredible. She's the most low maintenance person I think I've ever met.
That's a very
it's a dude. It's great.
Underrated.
It's fucking
quality.
Awesome.
Yeah. Remember dealing with like Sammy and Alex and how shitty that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, and now I definitely take that for granted a little bit, like how good it is now.
Yeah, I find myself like once a week or so, she'll like do or say something that I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is awesome. You are so much fucking cooler than some of the past girlfriends that I've had. Or like little, like, or if like I act stupid or like say something dumb, she's just like way more like I'll like say something and then think to myself like, oh wow, Alex would have fucking not talked to me for 2 days because of that comment.
And she's just like, yeah, I understand, you were mad or whatever.
Oh man, we have such a cool relationship, dude. It is really awesome.
Yeah, don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. That's good stuff.
But no, I think she would be most, I don't know, she can do the city thing. The family, being around family is I mean, she's got a big family, so being around family is pretty important. And they're all pretty much in this area. Her family originally is from, like, her dad's side of the family is from the Cleveland area. And her mom's side of the family is mainly from Benton Harbor. But most of them are around this area. Like her sisters, her one sister just moved to Indy. Her other sister lives like 20 minutes south of us, and we spend a good amount of time hanging out with her older sister, who has a boyfriend that is 28, who loves basketball and football, and we go over there for like they what do you call it? They buy the fights.
Oh yeah, pay-per-view.
So we've gone and watched fights over there, and she's got a 3-year-old daughter that is really fucking hilarious. Dude, little kids are funny.
Yeah, they are.
We went to her daughter's 3-year-old, or her 3rd birthday, like a couple months ago, and there was just a shit ton of little kids running around, and that shit is hilarious. I was just like, found myself just observing and laughing and thinking to myself, man, this would be kind of cool to have one of these, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm ready for all that.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be like a big deal if you did.
No,
I think we're at the age where it'd be like almost expected.
Yeah, I think that if it were to accidentally happen, it would just be like, well, here we go, you know.
Here we go. Yeah.
And we'll have fun with it, but it would be difficult financially, and you know, I just don't know if I think I'm ready for it, like emotionally. Like I think I'm more than ready for it emotionally, but financially it would be a little much.
Honestly, I think the hardest thing for you is going to be the sleep.
Yeah. Are you trying to say I need a lot of sleep?
I'm trying to say you need a lot of sleep. That bitch gets up at like 2 in the morning, and then 3, and then 5, and you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Just be like The Sims, where you build a room with like walls around it inside. Yeah,
no, it's great being able to hang out with her sisters, or Brandy's niece, I guess, and just it's like have a 3-year-old for a couple hours and then go home and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, you don't have to do a deal with the bad parts. If it starts being crazy, then it's like, all right, you guys take her. Sorry, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. All right, I'm going to go eat.
Yeah, we said that a while ago.
Yeah, we did. Carrie was like, dude, come on. I'm like,
hi, Carrie L.
Whatever.
Can she hear me?
She's downstairs.
Oh, I heard her.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, enjoy the Hawks and the Heat and the other games that are on tonight.
Yeah, let me know. I want to be on your podcast again. Send me some questions sometime.
Well, I'll just call you more frequently while I'm recording. This worked great.
I'd be interested to have a list of questions so I could look up a couple things.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
If possible.
Yeah, but we can make that happen. I'm always writing stuff down as I'm watching games, taking notes, stuff that I'm going to talk about.
I might do that. All right.
Peace, brother.
I'll talk to you. Bye.
See ya. Okay, that went way longer than I thought it was going to, but that's generally how my conversations with Ben VanDokkumburg, a fucking great guy, you know? What a guy. Okay, thanks for listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. We got Hawks Heat tonight, Mavericks and Nuggets. That one I'm really looking forward to. And then Lakers and Grizzlies I won't be able to watch tonight, but I will definitely watch tomorrow and potentially be here to talk about it with you on the I Can Do Anything podcast. Peace.